Got some very interesting information about Game Pass, the next iteration of Xbox Cloud Gaming, as well as the potential prices here for the ROG Xbox Ally. So Xbox Game Pass in 2025 has been phenomenal. Going into 2026 looks like it could even be better. We've seen now Call of Duty's drop day one into the service, and this has a lot of people questioning as to whether Xbox would actually be able to sustain the current prices for Xbox Game Pass, standard Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. There's a lot of guessing and assumptions out there that the price is increasing, and I think those assumptions will end up being right. And we have more information to point towards that this is going to be the case, that a price increase for Xbox Game Pass is imminent. We have this here on Twitter from Better xCloud, who goes through and finds a bunch of things before they do come out in the code that shows us games that are dropping into Xbox Play Anywhere and stuff like that. And he found this new notification type called subscription price increase has been added to the xCloud website. You can see it here in this picture. If we go ahead and click on this specifically, it's highlighted here, subscription price increase, which would make you basically assume here that they've put this in here in preparation for a price increase. And this would not be surprising whatsoever. People are expecting this. Anytime I would talk about Game Pass being the best value in gaming, everybody would say for now until they increase the price of it. We don't know what the price increase is going to be, but you think about the fact that Call of Duty has dropped into the service. The next Call of Duty, of course, is dropping in as well. All of the first party stuff that they have in the works is coming day and date. A bunch of third party games have been coming in day and date. They're giving more and more value and more titles onto Xbox Game Pass. The next logical step here for Xbox, for Microsoft, is that they were going to go ahead and increase the price. I will say, at least they aren't just increasing the prices out of nowhere without adding more value to the service, because this year has been pretty crazy. But a price increase is never anything you do want to see. You take a look at the industry. They're raising prices of games to $80. Now they're going to raise the price of the subscription service. They've raised the prices of consoles. All of this to try to generate more revenue and make more money off of each consumer, which is basically just kind of cutting out a lot of people from this hobby. Depending on the price of this, if it goes up like $5, going from $19.99 to $24.99, I don't know how many people are going to stop paying for Xbox Game Pass because of the content that they have been putting in there. But there will be people that do drop off, and there will be newcomers that want to sign up to the service that will not want to pay $25 a month to jump into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. It's unfortunate. There has to be other ways that they're going to be able to make revenue without increasing the prices of these subscriptions. And I wish they would look at those ways instead of continuously raising the costs for the consumer. We go down here into the comments. You have people laughing at it. They say it's time Microsoft to offer a dedicated subscription for Xbox Cloud Gaming. This person says, I kept telling you in July that they'll jack up the prices of Game Pass to $25 a month. Rest in peace, Xbox, which is kind of absurd. You're going to have a lot of people overreacting like this is going to be the death of Game Pass and the death of Xbox. It will not be. There will be enough content in here and enough games coming day and date that people will still want to pay for it. The thing is, how many more increases are coming? And if they continue to add games to it, what is the threshold for the consumer to want to pay in order to jump into Xbox Game Pass? For me, if they raise it $5 more, considering the amount of time I spend in Game Pass, the amount of games that I play, I try out, it's basically the first place I go when I'm trying to figure out something to jump into and play. I will probably continue to pay for it. I still have my subscription at least for another year, so that's already paid for. But after that, if it's another $5 a month, personally, I will probably still pay for it because I still think the value is there and they're continuing to add value. But for other consumers out there, it would be interesting to see what their threshold is and whether they believe it's worth it to pay an extra $5 a month. We don't know if that's going to be the price increase, but you can assume at this point that is coming. They gave us a good showcase. They announced the 25th anniversary is coming with games like Gears and the next Forza and presumably Halo. And I think that's all to set up and show the customers that the value is continuing to increase. so that they can raise the price with as little fuss as possible. But there will be a lot of people very upset about this, especially with the other things in this market increasing. It makes you start to think, what is going to be the prices to enter to the next generation? I think they are going to be relatively high, even with something like the ROG Xbox Ally. That's going to be a high price handheld to jump into. And in fact, we do have potentially what the prices are going to be for this handheld. These prices do seem legit. Like, they do seem like this is what they would end up being. So I wouldn't be shocked if this is the case. But we have here from, according to Ecstasy's, with the pricing and the launch of the Asus ROG Xbox Ally, that they will be launching sometime in October, and pre-orders will be beginning in August. I wonder if this is something that you're going to have to pre-order. I feel like this is a handheld that if you don't pre-order it, you'll be able to get it day one when it does launch. I don't think there were big issues. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but getting like the ROG Ally, the regular one on day one, if you didn't pre-order it, or other handhelds out there. I know Steam Deck you had to pre-order, but I mean, like the Lenovo Legion Go and everything, I think you could still pick those up. I could be wrong, but it's kind of the way I see this one. And in terms of the prices, the Xbox Ally X, which is the more expensive one, which to me is like, if I'm trying to get into this PC handheld space, I want to get the one that gives me the longest lifespan with the highest power right now. They're saying here this is going to be 899 euros. And then the lower powered Xbox Ally will cost 599 euros. That is a significant price gap between the two SKUs here for the ROG Xbox Ally. He also says that he confirmed the pricing with 2 European retailers, and for the United States pricing, the information he couldn't get concrete info about. But I would assume you do the conversion of those prices, that's going to be around that range for the US prices, at least in the difference of cost between the two handhelds themselves. That is a significant cost. And if you're looking to get into this, that makes that decision harder, I think, for a lot of people as to whether they want to get the higher power device or the lower power device. Myself, my first thought is I would want to get the higher powered one and just save up money for that. Maybe get rid of stuff I don't need and make sure that I can get that one rather than the lower powered one. But once we start getting more comparisons, once we start getting more benchmarks and seeing how games do run and seeing what the battery life difference is between the two, that will make that decision far more clear, because a $300 difference definitely will have people thinking on which handheld they do want to get. If it was like $100, that would be far easier decision in my opinion, but 300 is at that threshold where, yeah, you're going to sit back and think, is it really worth that extra 10% or 15% of performance that you may get on the Ally X, especially with every game having to be optimized, and it will differ with every experience that does end up coming out. But that is about the pricing I am expecting. In the US, probably similar. I know in Canada, the Ally X is probably going to be over $1,000, which is going to be pretty crazy. But the product itself looks very good and gives you access to everything Xbox, Steam, everything on your PC, which is definitely a seller for me because I have a large library on both platforms. I have Game Pass and I have deep investment into both ecosystems. The other thing that I have been using recently over the last year or so, and I've talked about this multiple times on my channel, probably even more than a year at this point, maybe like almost 2 years, where I've seen a big improvement in is Xbox Cloud Gaming. And that is going to be something that continues to grow. It is a growing market. So Xbox obviously is going to be investing more and more into this. And it looks like they are going to be investing in increasing the servers for Xbox Cloud Gaming, as well as potentially adding another subscription tier, which is very smart for Game Pass that only includes cloud gaming, something that they should have had for a while, especially because you have Game Pass on things like Fire Sticks and the TV app. But here is what it says here from Windows Central, that the next generation of Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming, and it says, our sources have indicated to us that Microsoft is working on the next generation of Xbox Cloud servers, which are in testing at Redmond HQ as we speak, and these new servers will be part of Microsoft's next-gen hardware offering alongside devices like the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Series X successor. So the people are still questioning whether there will be an at-home console. From everything that we are hearing, that is something that did not get canceled that they are still working on is that at-home console. What will that be? Not exactly sure. Will it be exactly like the Xbox Ally? I think it will be in terms of getting access to Steam and everything, which is a game changer. So that is exciting. And then, of course, cloud gaming as well. They say the new Xbox cloud gaming servers should deliver lower lag, improved bit rates, and higher resolution options to bring it, I would say, on par here with NVIDIA GeForce Now. And they say we've also heard that Microsoft is exploring a cloud only subscription, which would free it up from Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is something that they need to do ASAP. Something they should have already had out there, because I think that that would really entice more people to want to subscribe and give more options to getting into Game Pass. There's people out there right now that are probably just literally playing Game Pass via their smart TV, their LG or their Samsung TV. They have a controller, they connect to it, and they're completely fine with that experience, but they're still having to pay the ultimate pricing for Game Pass, and they probably don't download or play any of their games on a PC or console. So you have to ask yourself, that's probably a frustrating thing that they are thinking about there. And if they can just get a cheaper tier, maybe it's like $10 to $15 cheaper than the ultimate tier for Game Pass, you'll have a lot more people, I think, considering that one going forward. So hopefully that is the case, because they have improved Xbox Cloud Gaming. It still has a ways to go. And going into the next generation, maybe where we finally see it kind of hit its peak in terms of resolution, less lag, all that stuff, and its ability to have continuously good functionality across your wireless network, across your Wi-Fi, your internet, whether you're wired in, all of that stuff. So exciting things here for Xbox. They're going through more changes, but I think this future, once it finally gets fully realized, as we're seeing it roll out with how good Game Pass has been, the consumer is going to have a lot more choice on what and where and how they want to play everything. And it should end up just working seamlessly with the next gen console, the handhelds that are coming out, starting with the ROG Xbox Ally, and then of course with cloud gaming. But I will end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.